I've had a long history with the SteamWorld series, starting all the way back with SteamWorld Dig. Even though I did play the tower defense game, it was only a small bit back when I was first getting into the series. SteamWorld Heist was pretty cool, but a big departure from SteamWorld Build. SteamWorld Dig 2 built upon what SteamWorld Dig had, and then SteamWorld Quest was a big departure again from the series. And I think the SteamWorld games have done that a lot. Every entry is either building upon what was already there or a completely different journey for you to take on. SteamWorld Dig, it's a mining game. You mine down to into a mine shaft, and you try and go as far as you can, and you got to fight some enemies here and there. SteamWorld Heist is like a turn-based strategy game where you are aiming your guns manually and stuff like that with the characters. SteamWorld Quest is a deck builder where you use cards and energy to pull off certain moves. And SteamWorld Dig 2 is just more of like a Metroidvania style than the SteamWorld Dig. And now we have SteamWorld Build, which is another major departure for the SteamWorld series. This is a city management game with tons of management opportunities, kind of like City Skylines or Sim City, and it also has a pretty cool mining section to the game as well. This game has a lot of layers to it. You have your base city that you're building, and then you have the mines underneath it where you're mining the precious ores and the scrap and the parts that you need to keep the upper city running smoothly. If you don't know anything about the SteamWorld series, just know that it is a series built on like a steampunk aesthetic, but it's all robots. It's all robots. And these robots in SteamWorld Build are traveling to a site and they're being led there by some sort of shifty eyeball guy who's like, you gotta build a city here, and there's lots of opportunity here. And he's obviously very shifty. So the main story of the game can be completed in a couple hours if you know what you're doing. And it's a little bit disappointing in a way because I was hoping for there to be more story, like a specific story attached to each area you go to, but that's not how it looks. It just seems to go over the same story beats no matter which area you go to, because there's 5 maps that you can technically play on. I think everyone's going to start with the first map with the story attached to it. But there are 5 maps that you can build cities on and do stuff with. So in general, the story mode's a bit short, a bit predictable, obviously. I think that they could have done more with that. But in general, it's just a backdrop to what the game is mostly trying to do, and that is be a really good city management game. And I'm not like super into city builder games. Like, I played SimCity back in the day when I was like 10 years old, and obviously I didn't know what I was doing, and I just destroyed my towns with like meteors and stuff like that. So it's not like, maybe not meteors, tornadoes. That's what it was. So like I never really dipped my toe into the city builder aspect of things since then, or maybe not for a long time. But obviously, city building is pretty similar to theme park building. I've been really into Roller Coaster Tycoon lately. Again, like, I've always been into Roller Coaster Tycoon, but I replayed the first game all the way through this year, and it was just such a lovely experience. And SteamWorld Build came out at the perfect time when I was thinking of starting Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, but I was like, oh, but the SteamWorld Build game's coming out, and I really want to play that, and I don't want to play 2 strategy sim games in a row like that. So I ended up playing SteamWorld Build before playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. And SteamWorld Build is one of those games is maybe not going to get me into the city builder genre, right? But this is a really good game. I really have been enjoying myself while playing. I've been playing hours and hours of it. I've implemented strategies that I've learned just through my first city being a total mess, and I was able to beat the campaign for the first time the other day after I just abandoned my first city. My first city was so poorly done. The second one, though, I really went to work and really did a good job with it. So let me explain the core basics of the game here. So you start off with just a broken train station that you need to repair eventually. But they want you to have build workers and do like the basic stuff. So workers only take 2 pieces of lumber to build a house for them. So they're the most cheapest commodity there. So you build a couple of workers, and then you build a lumber mill and a sawmill, and that's kind of where you start off. You start off with the basics, and the every type of resident in your city or town or whatever, it needs certain things to make them happy. So in the workers' case, it's cactus, water, service station, general store. That's all they need to be happy. So once you get them at full happiness and you advance enough in the milestones for the game, then you can unlock the engineers. And the engineers, you upgrade the workers' houses to engineers. So the engineers, to be happy, they need the general store, cactus water, charcoal, but they also need things on top of that, like the survey station and a bar and a washing station and stuff like that. And each of these stations require certain things in your city. So in order to get in order to get the whiskey for the bar, you need to have a sand sifter building, a bottle making building, and you need to find, or you need something else, and then you can make bottles. The whiskey making building. So there's a lot of layers there. You start off with, okay, we just need the cactus water and the sifting thing, and then okay, now we need the bottle making thing, and the main balance of the game is making sure you have enough resources to make the commodities to make your residents happy, right? And that continues from here, because after that you get the aristocrats, who are like the bougie type robots, and they require a sheriff and a casino and fine dining and guns. The description of the gun place is pretty funny. It's like, they love to have these guns just to twirl in their hands. And then after that, you get the scientists. You upgrade the bougie people to the scientists, and they need a library and a particle accelerator and a bunch of other stuff. So it all builds on top of each other. And managing and creating and building your city, knowing that you're going to need these things, is really important. And each playthrough so far, I've done 3 cities now. I just started my 3rd one. They're kind of playing out the same way, the last 2, because I kind of understand what I need for the total happiness and whatever. The thing that really makes each playthrough unique, though, is the mine. And they call it a mine. That's right. You fix the mining station, and you go down inside the mine, and that's where all your precious resources are, like gold, rubies, iron ore, scrap parts, Vectron parts, etc. There's so much down in the mines that you need, and it's one of those really cool things that's like, okay, really making an effective mine is another really important thing. Like, you start off, you don't have conveyor belts, you don't have bridges, you don't have anything other than miners and prospectors. And you go from there, and you start building from there, and you get engineers, and you get guards, and you get all these different machines to automatically mine things, and you get the conveyor belts to make sure all the packages get to the mine shaft quickly, and you get these booster pads for your dudes, and you get teleporters, and you get weaponry to defend the mine from the invading species down there, and it's just all works so well together. And it's one of those things, like, in any other game that was trying to do something like this, it probably wouldn't work. But because this is SteamWorld, because this is a certain genre, the mixing, it works so well, and it definitely, it all just layers on top of each other in just such a good and really well done way, and that's what I really like. If it wasn't for the lackluster story, this game probably would be a 5 out of 5 in all honesty. But the story is a very weak thing happening in there, and it's also a very bleak ending as well. Like, almost like they're planning on doing something more with the idea, but they just released this game and they didn't release like the full-blown experience, or maybe there's going to be an update or something down the road that's going to be expanding on the ending of the game. But yeah, it's one of those things that's just it left me a bit disappointed when it did end, and it was just one of those endings that was like, yeah, it's not really that great of an ending either, Other than that, each time you complete a map, you get a special building that gives you unique things. So the first one you get from beating the first Giddy Up Gulch is this new train station that doubles the speed of the train, so it comes to you faster, and it also replenishes the things you can buy from the train station a lot quicker. So the rupees in the mines are limited. So you got to be kind of careful what you buy because eventually down the road you're gonna run out of rupees. You can't you can't trade for rupees for some reason. That was kind of one of the things I was like really hoping was you could trade for rupees, but you can't. You can trade for pretty much anything else. You know, you can trade money for gold or wood for charcoal or whatever. You know, things that you kind of are low on, but you're still producing enough of. So you can get a boost for those things. Like sometimes I'll trade for sheet metal because I'm just using so much of it in the mines that I need that extra like boost of 50 every so often, right? Um, but every so often there's like three specific items that you can get and they help boost production or give your warehouses more storage or they give your amenities more power. Maybe you know, you can put it on like a general store and make the people more happy or give you more money, you know, the taxing one. So it's a thing that you really got to pay attention to because it really does help along the way. When I originally played through my first town, I wasn't really paying attention to what was being sold in there. I was just getting the things in the mine, and I was like, oh, that's fine. I don't need to buy anything. Also, I was really scraping for money too. Like I really was poorly optimized at all turns. But by the time I realized what I need to do and how I need to build my city, I did really well in my second town. I mean, I could be playing it right now. You don't even know. Because you could just kind of let the simulation run sometimes and just go. Before you encounter any enemies in the mines, you can really just let your city build itself and just generate money and items so that by the time that you do need to start building weapons to defend yourself or whatever, you have enough resources to make sure that can build a proper defense. The one thing that you do need to pay attention to once the enemies start attacking you is sometimes they can disable traps or weapons. Sometimes they can tear down the support beams inside of the mines, which can cause cave-ins, and that is the main issue. If you can't just leave the simulation to run when you have a mine shaft that has enemies attacking, because there's so many things that can go wrong. You need to kind of be there, even though you have engineers who repair machines and revive workers for you. It's one of those things. It's like if there is a cave-in that's coming because they knocked down a support beam, if you're away from your computer, you don't know that's going to happen at all. So there are some minor touches that you need to do while you're working on the game or working through the game, but you can let it kind of work itself for quite some time. I left and went to like the mall to get some Christmas shopping done this past weekend, and I just kind of let the game run itself for like 2 or 3 hours. And when I got back, I had like $2.5 million and I had all the resources I could ever want. And that's kind of how a lot of these games want you to play them too. Like I know you're probably like wagging your finger at me like, "Oh, yeah, maybe that's cheating." It's not really cheating because I could just do the same thing where I just sit here and stare at it do its thing, or I could go and do something productive while it's doing that. I've always liked to build up resources when I'm playing these kind of management games. Even Roller Coaster Tycoon, when I get I have enough cash flow and I have enough people and all I got to do is remember to go back and flip the switch for the advertisements every so often. That's it. And I just kind of when I was playing through Roller Coaster Tycoon, sometimes if I built a good enough park and I still had like a year or two left to get the objective like completed because you need to do it in 3 years, just let the baby run. Let it do its thing, you know. A part of a simulation game is allowing the parts and bits of the simulation to run. And when you do that, it's so satisfying to come back and be like, I did such a good job with my city that I left for 3 hours and I'm net positive, majorly positive, and nothing went wrong. And that's just a good feeling. It really is. So, let's say you do need to build up some money or resources, and you haven't you haven't gone far enough into the mines. You got the first area done, but you haven't really done anything more than that. Let the baby run for a little bit. Make sure that everything is positive. Like you need to have green for all of your resources and stuff like that. But yeah, just let the baby run. Let it do its thing. That's part of the fun for the game is coming back and being like, oh my god, I've built a good system. My game is working. I'm rich. So, all in all, it's on Xbox Game Pass. I think it works really good on PC. Obviously, you can play with a controller if you want to, but the PC build is perfectly fine. The Xbox Game Pass version is fine. I really enjoyed my time, and I'm still enjoying my time. I'm definitely going to work through the rest of the towns to build, and because the maps are they're very much full of variety. So each map does have a different vibe and some different challenges associated with it. Just in general, like the second town has a lot more curviness to it. It's one of those things that's it like it doesn't have a lot of open areas for you to just kind of build up like a residential area for a certain type of worker. It's very curvy. It's very a weird looking map. And I guess that's my main tip. If you are planning on playing this game, you need to make like a worker area and an engineer area and a bougie area and a scientist area. You need to kind of have them all separate, because if you just start upgrading your workers to engineers and then your engineers to the aristocrats, you're probably not going to have room to build the things that those separate people need. So if you build a area for workers specifically and an area for engineers specifically and etc., you're probably going to have a better time or an easier time upgrading them to the later classes. So all in all, I'm going to give SteamWorld Build. I really enjoyed it, and I know it's not for everyone, obviously, but I really enjoyed it myself. God, I'm thinking a 4.5 on this one. It is really good. I'm really enjoying myself, and maybe that's a part of me just being biased towards the SteamWorld series, but I think that's a really good city management game. Love it love it to bits. So if you want to check it out, I would highly recommend it. SteamWorld Build. Go grab that on Xbox Game Pass. All right. Thank you for listening to the final review. I'll check you guys next time.